And when I was in 10th standard or 11th standard, many of my friends were getting bikes and stuff like that. But what I got was a computer, and we took the first loan to buy a computer. It cost us 1.5 lakhs. It was like a cost of Maruti 800 at that point of time. And people are like, are you crazy? Like, why are you spending such money on this? But now that, like, it was an investment which helped me in the long run. A lot of people build a lot of capabilities. Like, we are very capability outward. Like, we say, hey, I want to make this 5 features because this feature is so cool. But right product management is when you look at the customer and what's the need there, and you build on that. We didn't have an elevator pitch. And the pitch we had was, this has like this killer feature, this killer feature, this killer feature. There were 6 killer features.
You must be thinking another pre-roll? Wait, let me just skip it. With AllTuny, there are some boring things which you can avoid, like the long wait for promotions or increments, or the numerous interviews before you land your dream job. At AllTuny, we make sure that you're future ready and skilled to be in the top 0.5% class. Click on the link in the description now.
There have been a lot of requests that, we've end up calling a lot of IIT, IIM kids, but our next speaker is not from any of those hallowed institutions, but his career journey is just absolutely fascinating. So without further ado, can I request Narayan to be on stage, please? A big round of applause, guys. So Narayan, what I do know is that your father was a computer scientist. So why don't you tell us about your early years and how did you end up becoming an engineer?
I wouldn't give much credit to what I did as childhood, because it was more my father being what he was. He was part of the organization called Electronic Research and Development Corporation of India. So it is today called CDAC, Center for Development of Advanced Computing. Computing was not a term in the 80s and 90s. It was more of electronic and research, right? What they used to do was, obviously the limelight is about PARAM, the parallel computer, parallel machine, which is the first supercomputer India built. He was a part of that. A lot of interesting projects where in India, if you have to buy a HP printer, for example, it used to cost a lot of money, HP plotter. And these guys would probably look at the machine, see how it is working, and then reverse engineer and figure out, without infringing any patents, and figure out a similar product built in India. So these guys used to do a lot of such Indianized, made in India in 90s, right? And I have seen this from close quarters, right? And because of that, I got naturally exposed to these things. And I still have my 386 computer, which runs today also. It's like 30 years old now, 30, 40 years old, 1990. And so I was exposed to computers, and that was the only way out for me to have some fun, to build some programs, play some games, see how Prince of Persia was built. And looking at those in that period, it actually influenced me a lot in starting up. Because in 90s, I've seen that there's always a wave of, it's like fashion, right? Technology is like fashion. Every 20, 30 years, you see a new technology coming up. In the early 90s, you had internet just starting. There was graphics-based games which is coming. And if you look at Prince of Persia, Dangerous Dave, all these games which are coming in the early 80s or 90s, they were all built by a single person or a team of 2 or 3 engineers, and they became big. And the same thing repeated when I started up in 2007, 2008. So I had the unfair advantage of my father being in this industry, so I got exposed. I remember we got internet when it was VSNL in 1997 or so. It used to cost you $2,000 for a year of internet, not a month, year. And it used to be 100 MB. And if you pay for something, you get another extra 100 MB. And we used to always end up not consuming that. And then we have to, last few weeks, we're like, what will we do? Because internet, you don't have images, you don't have videos, you don't have YouTube. We have to somehow consume this 100 MB. So we used to go to different kinds of, there was websites to read and learn about new things and stuff like that. There was a few websites like Computers, Programmers Heaven, bunch of places where you can download programs and see the source code and how things work. So I had the unfair advantage. So, and there was a bent also, like you said, right? So there was British Library in Trivandrum, and British Library used to have a lot of computer-related magazines called Computers at Home or Computers World or something like that, which was a UK-based publication. And these used to have free CDs. Even if whoever has used computers in the early 2000s or 90s, you can get $100, you get a Computers at Home, Programmers Heaven, different kind of books you get. And then you can get a CD which will have some demo version of games and different things. And when I was in 10th standard or 11th standard, many of my friends were getting bikes and stuff like that. But what I got was a computer, and we took the first loan to buy a computer. It cost us 1.5 lakhs. It was like a cost of Maruti 800 at that point of time. And people are like, are you crazy? Like, why are you spending such money on this? But now that, like, it was an investment which helped me in the long run.
Yeah, I mean, it's almost worth a college education.
Yeah, I had this mentor, not a mentor, when there was to be bulletin boards and forums back in 90s. And there was a guy who was teaching me how to do graphics programming, and he used to teach me how to do 3D programming, bunch of things. So he has a course. And I went through the course for like 10 sessions or so. And then I was like, this guy must be really cool. He might be some scientist and all. And then eventually I found out he was an 8th standard kid from South Africa. And I don't know what he does today. He was called Denthor of Asphyxia at that time. And he was very famous in that circle. So his graphics course laid foundation for me to understand how UI is built and things like that.
Awesome. So then I guess computers was what you were going to do, which was very clear.
So my father was the epitome of thinking from first principles. He was, rather people would say he's not very emotional, he's very machine-like. And he always taught me, think you have 4 steps: input, validate, prioritize, process, output. Like everything you have to, if you're crossing a road, first you input, so everything is wired in that digital format, right, in your head. And when you used to play games, like we used to play a game called Caesar, which is like a strategy game where you have to build a city. We used to first sit down and draw in the whiteboard, what are the resources needed, how do you strategize, and then you draw the basic map and then you go and play. And it takes a fun out of the game, right? It's like you're not even playing on the computer. So that's the way I was like raised. So I was completely stuck in this world. So when I was in 12th standard, I didn't even know there's something called entrance, what I'm gonna do next. I was just, going by the college, schoolwork was something which was just happening as life happened around it.
But were you a good student in school?
I was not a bad student. I was not, so teachers would say, this is the normal thing, I'll get in a progress report, hey, this guy has potential, but he's not, I'm not able to make him focus, right? I never used to understand what that meant, but now I have a son, I understand what it means. I really don't give weightage to intelligence or something you're born with, because that makes you complacent, and that you get the initial win, you get the head start because you're intelligent, but then you can't make it if you don't hardworking. And that's what happened to me, probably, I'm imagining, where I never put effort. So if you can start something fast, because I had a head start in computers and other things, I could quickly start some things. And but to be the winner, you need to have that hard work. So we're always getting appreciated for your intelligence or your environment that you had. You don't see that hard work is important. So that's a lesson I've learned in the last 20 years, that you should never appreciate somebody for his natural ability to do something. That's what happened in my school life. Like I was average, I will not have bad scores, I'll have average, above average scores. Sometimes I'll have good scores, but nothing like in the top. They're not looking like, okay, this guy is going to top the class or something like that, right? I also didn't never cared about, okay, what will I do learning all these things. I was just in different world. When will I make my program? When will I make my Prince of Persia? That's what's in my mind, right?
Obviously, then engineering was the only option that you would have chosen.
Not really. So I come from a musical family. So my grandfather is a Padma Bhushan, and I used to sing. I used to win a lot of awards in singing. So my father, being the way he is, very logical, he told me that, hey dude, I don't think you should do engineering. It's not your cup of tea. You should go for music, because that is what you are meant for. You have proven on that. And everybody, my mother, everybody who's traditional, who have friends and log kya kahenge types, they are like, no, that's not acceptable. But my father's like, why are you looking at that? Just do what you are good at. And he forced me to do an engineering entrance in Kerala. I got some good score, single digit rank or something like that. And he further got validated, like, hey dude, you should do this. And that somebody somehow triggered me, right? In my rebel attitude, no, I can't do this also, you are getting me wrong. So and he said, okay, if you're going for engineering, then you're not going to do music for the rest of your life. Are you okay with that? At least for the next 4 years, you cannot go into music. You cannot do anything related to music. I'm like, dude, okay, fine. And then I got into engineering, and he said, it is completely your bet. You take the bet, you take a loan for your engineering, you figure it out. So that really, really changed my way I looked at, studies. So after college, so I got a bunch of offers from the usual, that time in, you have the Infosys, the Wipros, and the TCS, Bosch, a bunch of things like that. I ended up picking Bosch. So I was in Koramangala here in Bosch working. Luckily, I got into a good team, which was building head units or the infotainment systems for, Mercs and, German cars. Bosch has multiple units. Some units work on mission critical things like ECUs and airbags and ABS controls and things like that. Some teams work on maps. Maps used to be a big thing then. Now Google has made it so easy, but it was a hard problem to solve. And some teams worked on user interfaces and the end operating system for the, so I was in that team. So that's where my life completely shifted to a place where I was in an organization, I was told what to do, very limited, more process oriented, more accountability than being a rock star, right? You have to, if I'm doing something, I have to say why I'm doing this and how will it not create a risk, because automotive world, you can't take risk. You cannot, it's not like social media. Right? But we had a bunch of folks who had the same mind, and we saw that interfaces are so bad. They're very dated. You can't even have transparency in images and things like that. It was running on Windows CE, Windows Compact Edition, which is a very old system. So we wanted to do something there. So over the weekends, we were researching. We found a Linux-based system. Then we found something called Android, which was probably in a private beta. It was not available in public. And we got a developer phone. We built something on Android. And then suddenly, it became one of the important projects in Bosch. So then we realized Google was running a contest called Google Developer Contest, where the winner of the app will get $100,000. Like $100,000 is not something we would have made 10 years working in Bosch. We were like, we should try this out because we have already gotten used to Android. So we went back and we were like, what can we do? There are 10 sensors, there are so many things. And we brainstormed and we got that, why can't we this device is on your pocket all the time. Why can't we make a automatic life log of your life, which is smart, which can remember everything that you do. So we said, okay, that sounds interesting. So we started building something.
This is the time you're still working at Bosch, but this is like a side
side
competition that you entered.
Yeah. And we had 3 months to build this.
And this is like probably a year after the iPhone was launched.
No, it was before iPhone was launched. Around the time iPhone was about to get launched. It was not yet launched. So we were like, hey, this is something we want to really do. One lesson we learned in that, now looking back, which is useful this group, is that in product management, you look at a customer need. A lot of people build a lot of capabilities. Like we are very capability outward. Like we say, hey, I want to make this 5 features because this feature is so cool. But right product management is when you look at the customer and what's the need there and you build on that. There we were forced to do that because we didn't know the capabilities. Like we were not smart enough to understand what is possible. The only way we could build that was looking at the customer. What is the need? How can I win this contest? Because what will be the product that everybody will want? So naturally we gravitated, even unknowingly, building something which the customers wanted. But the fun part is, since we were completely zero on the capability side, we grossly underestimated what we're trying to build. And we ended up having probably 50% of it built by the end of the period. So we didn't submit our project to the contest. And then a month later, when the results were announced, I think the winner was some smart alarm clock. We're like, dude. And he took away $100,000. And we're like, I think we really, really had to calibrate what we had to build. But then we realized that what we're trying is much bigger than this contest. We're like, hey, this is really good. And then iPhone also launched, the Jingbang, and it became really smartphone. It was giving me the vibes of the 90s when the internet was picking up. It's like a second time the same fashion is repeating. So we were like, we should really pursue this. And I was 22 or 21 or 22 at that time. All of my co-founders were in the same age. And all of us were just techies. And we were like, we should do this. And then one of my college mates, he had done masters and came back from UK. And we told him, hey dude, we have this thing. And we somehow sold the story to him. And we need to raise funds. And since we were also somebody who would follow the tech scene in the US and all, and we sold him this whole story. And he was also, after a couple of drinks, probably was up for this, right? He was also figuring out what to do next. So he said, okay, I'll help you raise funds. And we went around, we searched, nobody would buy, right? You're a bunch of nobodies coming from.
So what was your pitch though? Like at that time, you're all techies and nobody is really from any business background or even, I mean, like you said, this friend of yours was the one who's going to help you raise funds. So like, what was your elevator pitch or one-line pitch? What are you trying to build?
So the problem was we didn't have an elevator pitch. And the pitch we had was, this has like this killer feature, this killer feature, this killer feature. There were 6 killer features. And see, this is the thing about life, right? I remember when my first US, we got selected for TechCrunch. So I had the US visa interview. We were going for 3 days. We got a letter from TechCrunch. And I'm just telling this story, I'll go back to that. And we wanted to be very honest. We were filling the form online ourselves, and they asked, which are the places you're gonna go? So we are like searching for all investors in US, and all cities we're ticking. And the flight is booked for February 24th onwards and February 28th off on the way back. And there are like 20 cities in that. Everywhere, all over the US. Even if I like take my own private jet, I will not be able to cover that place. But my thinking was that I'm being very honest. I may go to these places, right? And when we went to the visa interview, we were all dressed tip-top and all those things, and we went to the counter, and he looked at me, and where are you going? I said, for this. This is the event I'm going for. We are just one of the better startups from India, and blah, blah. And he gave me a slip saying some 220 or something like that. And it is that's the first time I really feel the Tom and Jerry, they show it, anvil falls on the floor. It's like, I can feel the whole world around me like spinning. I got rejected in my life for the first time. And I'm like, no, this is not possible. But I know how to react. I just walked out. And my co-founder was also there in the queue. So they had this 2 things in my mind. Like, he should get through, he should not get through. I don't know which one was winning. One way is like, I lose and he wins. It means I'm not good enough. On the other side, at least he will go and we can raise funds. So eventually, he also came out with his passport in his hand. I'm like, okay, we both did not get it. And then we were given a lot of explanations. Hey, you are very young, you're looking dashing, so probably they will think that you will settle in US. I mean, we are also making ourselves happy by so many such reasons. But now, after 5 years, when we got the visa and everything, I realized I didn't even know the geography of United States. Like, have put 20 cities. Similarly, when we put this 6 features, killer features, every investor would say, you pick one on this. Like, it looks, you have not prioritized. I'm like, no. All 6 are important. We can build all, these are all needed. But we kept telling that, and he kept telling back. And we were so arrogant probably, and we were probably ignorant, that we couldn't take that feedback. So I think taking feedback is something which is very important in life. And I've seen a lot of leaders, even at a very, because of the kind of upbringing they had in their career, they probably did not face such situation, they may not have that. And that's a very key skill, right? And that we didn't have.
What was the product?
So if today I have to explain to you as a comparison, it was what Google now is today. So we launched it also in 2012. We called it Friday, the Man Friday, from the Man Friday. It was an app which is sit on your phone. It will capture every signal from your phone and create a semantic map of your life. So you could just ask your phone, hey, last week when I was near Gillies, my phone was on a low battery or something, I got a call. Who was that? So it will show you that call. So that was the product. I was listening to this song, probably on a weekend, and that time I took 2 pictures. Can you show me that picture? It will show you. So that was the product. It was very, very futuristic. First of all,
And you were pitching this product in 2008?
2012. We started in 2010 formally. We started building 2 years before that. It took a lot of shapes. And then 2010, we started the company, and then we wanted to kind of settle in, so we did some stuff in the first year.
So before we go there, when you were in Bosch, were you sure that you were always going to start a company of your own, or you were happy to just create if Bosch also gave you more opportunity to create new things?
I had no bloody clue of what I was doing. Like, I was just sitting and doing stuff, going home, and then doing more stuff. I didn't have absolutely... See, today, everybody is having such kind of aspirations and clarity in their lives. They say self-awareness is what is taught in schools. That's what, when we go to some big schools, they say for our son. I'm like, what is self-awareness? By 5th standard, when I was 5 years old, I could do math, addition, subtraction. I could go to a shop and buy groceries. This guy can't do anything. But what is the self-awareness thing? But I realized now what is self-awareness, right? It is that you want what you are clear about what you want. I didn't have that. I was just floating where life was taking me. But then this gave me a purpose of, okay, this is...
Android gave you purpose in a way.
Yeah, I mean, my team, the folks I had, the environment, everything put together. So then all the investors were, and some people, I think it is like this, right?
When so all of you all were from Bosch when you started up?
Yeah, 3 of us were from Bosch. 3 of us, like, I'm the common factor. 3 of us were from Bosch, the 3 of us from my college. So what happened is then investors would say this, that some investors, it's hard to break up. So they would ask me, like, do you have a PhD in search? I said, no, I don't. Have you worked in Google? I said, no, I don't. So how do I know that you can build this product? I'm like, I can show it to you on my phone. But then they're like, no, I'm not interested. So that we had the product in our hands. We could show it to them. I said, I can send you the APK. You can install it on your device. Even then, we couldn't, make it work in raising funds. So it went by. We were really, really plugged into this US startup scene, and some journalists from TechCrunch and Nextverb and all those folks became friends or acquaintances. So we showed. Some of them got genuinely, picked by the product we showed. And somebody wrote about it as well, and there was some interest. I think VSS, Vijay Shekhar Sharma, we met him in one of the events in Delhi, and he saw the product, and he always had eye for good design and good. So he said, I'll put some money in your product. So he put some money, and then that helped us go further for some more time. And then what happened is Siri happened. So all the while in 2013, I think it was in October, that time I was living out of office because I was so broke, and three of my co-founders were from the same city, so they would go home and they with their family. Two of us were from some other city. Four of us were from that city. So me and the other guy, he had some other means to live, but I was like sleeping in office. And suddenly on a Saturday night, I'm getting like a lot of pings on my Google alerts. And I woke up and checked what it is. There's like so many tweets, so many posts, like so many this thing on our company and etc. And then what had happened was on Friday, I think on Thursday, October 17th or something, Siri was launched, and it was like it broke the internet, right? And then we were really, like, we had built the same product, but little more advanced and not sharp, more broader version of it, called Friday, but nobody, it didn't have a proper user proposition probably. So we were like, I can build exact same thing in 24 hours because I already have the stack. So we had a bet on Friday. We had built something called Iris, which is Siri in reverse, but also like a tongue-in-cheek. And we built it, and when I just put it on Twitter tagging some journalist saying that, hey, there's an Android version for Siri called Iris. We've been building it for the last 4 years. Because Siri was built by SRA from 1985 or something like that. Right? So we also made a backstory and all. And that guy asked me, can you send me over the APK? So I had sent it over. I was not even like optimistic, and I slept over on the weekend. And on Saturday night, this happened because TechCrunch wrote an article, hey, there's an Android version of Siri called Iris, it is pretty cool. And that post had like 100,000 shares and some crazy number of activity on that.
You must be thinking another pre-roll? Wait, let me just skip it. With all theory, there are some boring things which you can avoid, like the long wait for promotions or increments, or the numerous interviews before you land your dream job. At All Tuning, we make sure that you're future ready and skilled to be in the top 0.5% class. Click on the link in the description now.